Okay, so here's my non-edited, off-the-cuff, completely ad-lib video about Evernote and what I've done, the changes for it. So what have I done? What does mine look like? Let's get rid of this. Okay, so I'll start from the really high level, right? So what do I want to do in life? And that's not actually in Evernote. So thinking about all those tasks and goals you want to achieve, I have in my calendar, let's say this Friday, two things, and I'll work from the top down. One is the strategic review, and my reminder is, are the goals that I'm trying to meet still appropriate? Makes sense, right? And I'm just asking myself, setting aside some time to just go back and think, am I doing what I want to be doing? I do it every couple of months, or 3, or I might miss one, right? I'm not completely, anal about the whole thing. And then every couple of weeks, I do a weekly project review where clean up the physical clutter, evaluate the current projects at a high-level view. Is it good? What's the next thing I need to do? But it's not the doing level. It's not collecting the tasks. It's looking up at the slightly higher level and thinking, am I moving in the right direction still on the projects without worrying about the vision, if that makes sense. Vision being the much higher thing. So those two ideas there come out of GTD, straight out of Get Things Done. And the people who get the most done, apparently, are the ones that actually stick with this and keep asking themselves, am I going in the right direction? So now on to Evernote. How do we go from nicely intended calendar entries to actually being able to do this stuff? So starting again at the high level, I have in my shortcuts here, goals. And we'll get back to these shortcuts in a second, okay? But I've got some goals, and this is where I always go, right? Thinking reviewed June 2016. You can imagine this would be reviewed again in a couple of months. This is where I go to say what is it? My current thinking, for the next few months. What do I want to do or get done, or it might even be longer. And you can see there's a lot of notes in here, or actually links to notes where I've written down the high level of what I'd like to do. And for me, I also try and write down, you'll see that in the brackets at the end, the quarter that I want to get it done by. Some of them don't have it because they're non-ending. But it's a general reminder of this is where I thought I was going. And it drives everything else. So I had written down, now you can see I wanted to learn some web coding stuff. I want to be able to measure the team progress. I want to be able to measure the product features and statistics within the product that we sell, right, for the business/product. If I get into personal, I want to be fitter. I suck at doing it, but I want to be fitter. So, write that down. Good, so those are the high-level ones, but they don't really tell you what you want to be doing. And that's why they're note links. So let's go into measure team progress by end of Q4. So if I click on that, a couple of things change here. Firstly, I have a folder called Measure Team Progress. So everything that's moving me towards that goal is going to be in that folder. So Measure Team Progress, right? And it just says it's easy enough to get a simple cost per day of all the developers. And there's more detail about what I want to do. So if I'm thinking about in my reviews, how am I going with Measure Team Progress? Right? I'll know roughly anyway. But I can go back in here because I'll have forgotten what I wanted to do, and I'll have notes about what the goals might be and what I'm trying to achieve by doing it, or other reference notes about things that would help me get there, or web pages that I've clipped or whatever. So it all goes into this one big bucket. And I tend to have a process where one of the notes is called master : and it's because the folder, this folder could have a million things inside of it. So which is the go-to note that kind of organizes the content in that folder. And it tends to be the master. And I tend to write some high-level goals at the top. That's not the best. This is a better one, right? Measure feature usage. And it doesn't start like this, by the way. Measure feature usage will be, yeah, that's what I want to do. And then one of my tasks would be to write down the goals of what I think I want to do. And then just keep incrementally refining that and saying, okay, well, how can I move in that direction? So everything for me is an incremental step, even defining the tasks themselves. And then back to the shortcuts. I think this is what's really helped for me is, so I have the goals, great, and then I have all these projects, and they're in priority order here because Evernote allows you to drag things around. So you can say, actually, Discovery is higher priority now than Classroom, right? Whatever those projects are. And that gets replicated on all the devices, which is really nice because if you're lost and you're thinking, what am I going to do next? You can always go, well, I'm at DockerCon in Seattle. I've got a master note here of all the things I'm trying to do. What would be the next thing, right? Or somebody from work rings me up and says, what's next? What can we do on Chrome or, business planning? So that drives my priority. And of course, sometimes I'll be doing something in Classroom while I'm waiting for something in DockerCon. And then we get onto the actual task stuff, right? Every week on the Friday, so back to my calendar, I'll be like, okay, what am I doing next? What are the high-level projects? Where I will review what's happened last week, and of course I'll know it because it's fresh in my mind. I'll come back to, okay, yeah, how's, let's take an example here. How's the Chromebook stuff going? And I think, okay, so here it says provide Engage, which is a product, right, for students using Chromebooks. And I'll have an idea of, well, I actually have no idea whether all of this stuff is done. So this is literally what I would do. Watch this. I'll create a new ticket. It can be in the Chrome Engage folder. And I'll say find out how many of the Chromebook features are actually done. Use the dev team. Okay. So it's a note to myself because I need to get the dev team involved to actually get that next task moved forward so I can judge what needs to be done next. But I'm not going to sit down and do that work. I'm going to get somebody else to do it. Or I might get me to do it if it was just a one-man show. And here's the tagging that comes into play. So I know that's happening for work, and I actually want that to be, let's say, next. Okay, it's the next thing I want to be looking at. I don't need to do that today. I'm going to worry about it next week. Okay, so then I'm like, yay, cool. I can move that anywhere. I don't really care. It could be in Chrome Engage or it could be in my Actions folder over here. So I could just go, oh, let's put that over there. But if I hang on, I'm going to undo that. No, I can't because yeah, because it's really awesome. Right, so let's leave it in there for now. Right, and then let's switch gears. Let's go, right, I've done a bit of planning, I'm happy with everything. What's the next thing I'm going to do? So come back here, and I've got a filter called Everything to do with Work, tagged with One Now. And we covered that a bit together. And there we go. Work, One Now. Some of them aren't really related to a project, they're ongoing things. And then they sit in the Actions folder. I had a little list of things that I needed to do for getting ready for Seattle. That's done. I just delete stuff that's done now. By the way, I don't move it into a completed folder. Could, I suppose, but I don't really care. So I can see here all the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing, ideally, today. So this is if I'm freaking out about, oh my God, there's so much stuff. I can actually quietly go back with all the stuff you've heard, right? Quietly go back and say, okay, I'm going to work on measure team progress, deploying FileWave via Docker, and there's some other things going on here. So, and try and knock those out. And then I have, and it's just a tag search, right? So I just said, find me all the notes that are tagged with now, related to work. And historically, I had marked actions or notes with a completed tag. And some of them are still in here. I haven't cleaned them all out. So I don't want to see the stuff that has been completed. And the cool thing about that is it doesn't matter in which notebook they are in. So that search crosses all of the notebooks. So I can get a really good idea of, okay, so I've got this number of tasks. Some of them are generic. Some of them are for a particular project. And that always keeps me in touch with the projects that I think I'm supposed to be getting done, right? And here you can instantly see we have a slight problem, perhaps because there's nothing in there for Engage. So maybe I want to fix that. Let's go to 2 next. There's one for Engage. And I might tell myself that one day, no, I have to move the Engage project forward. I have to get this done. And in this case, the next thing for, you can go back into Engage and say, okay, That's the identified next task. Quickly look through here. Yep, that makes sense. Let's make that now. Right, this could be my morning planning, or maybe the evening before this kind of step. So I'll say that's the next thing I have to do, and I'm actually going to do it now. So I can come back to next. Right, it's gone from to next. Let's get rid of all these. Control A to select everything, or no, just do this. Come back into work actions now, and now I've got Chrome, coming up in that filter, so I can keep focused on this is what I need to do now. I haven't refined it through to 1 now, 2 next, 3 later, 4, all that kind of stuff. 3 soon, 4 later. I don't go through that way so far. So far I've been pretty happy just saying, okay, these are the things I'm going to get done now, and trying to keep the next list smaller. And so this is my next challenge, is trying to figure out how do I do the things that are coming up. But it feels okay because I have this as a list of priorities. So as long as I've got this list of priorities, I feel like I'm on track. So yeah, that is my current Evernote system. Questions? Don't hear any, so I'm going to hang up. Hope you're doing well. Lots of love.